Okay. Can everyone hear me? Yep. So today we have two meetups happening. One is here, and the other meetup is happening in Tokyo, 1 hour from here. So, anyone who's working around CBP area, Changi Business Park? Anyone working like quite far from here, like downtown area, west side? Thanks for coming, especially if it's like a far distance as well. So the Azure Community Singapore meetup, they usually hold this meetup around downtown area, especially when Microsoft was still residing in One Marina Bay or around the downtown area. And recently they moved, I think, to Tanjung Power. So the recent meetups has been in, I think, Block 71. And now it's the first time that we're holding here, at least in Changi Business Park. And I think to try to look into various other ways of sharing to the community. So I think 2 months ago, they started YouTube Live as well to share the corresponding technical content to the community. So that's, and by the way, I'm Paul. I'm joining the co-organizer team for the Azure Community for Meetup as well. So this community, we have a Shepherd program. So this is like our call to the community in case you have interest in volunteering, you have some interesting technical topic to share to the community, if you want to help in some way, like sponsor and stuff. So we have this application form, or is that just a form just to let the organizer know that, hey, I'm interested to help out the community. Here's what I can do. Here's what I can share. Just go there, .SG forward, and then the corresponding organizer will contact you. We also have open source projects hosted in GitHub that include .NET. You can find other interesting projects there called from Recognizer, Custom Vision, and so on. And let's say if you have like interesting open source project that you're currently working on, and then you want to like engage the community here in the Azure community, you can check with the organizers. Maybe you can send a pull request to the main repo, and then we can have it shared with the community as well. And then for this group, usually the types of meetups are usually talk technical content sharing and so on. Previously, we also had, I think, workshops in terms of specific to certain technology like IoT, Azure onboarding, and so on. Recently, we started with YouTube streaming as well. The movie and its movie, it's been a long while since I haven't attended any movie yet, but if you have like any ideas in mind, feel free to tell the organizers. So this is the link for the YouTube streaming. I think we also put in here the let's say .NET conference and other videos related to Azure Community Singapore. So today we'll be having 2 sessions, 2 talks. The first talk will be about Azure Kubernetes service for .NET developers. Will be shared by Ken from Japan. Will be streamed live. And then the next one will be about Wyam. Wyam is a static content generator in .NET Core. So you might have heard of other static content generator like Hugo, Jekyll. So this is another project that we have in .NET Core. Will be shared by Rasťo, Novotný. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but I'll do my best. Yeah. And without further ado, we can begin. I'll just share Ken's stream session. Ken, can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Yeah, so yeah, we are ready here in Singapore. I'll give the floor to you. You can take it away, Ken.
All right, that's cool. Can you see my screen?
Yes, you can see your screen.
All right, so let me start. So this is Ken from Tokyo and Microsoft Japan, and thanks for giving me this opportunity to share in the Azure Kubernetes service. to in Tokyo and for the Singapore. We have 104 people in this Tokyo room. Yay! Woo! What's up, Singapore? All right, so today I want to talk about the Azure Kubernetes service, but before doing that, I just want to do some survey. How many people in the Singapore knowing about Azure Kubernetes service, even just a word?
Anyone who knows about Azure Kubernetes service, maybe around 4 or 5 people. Yeah, that's why we're a lot of us are here to learn from you, Ken.
Is it many or any?
Around 5 people.
Okay.
So,
How about in this room? Yeah, how about that? So how many people actually using the Kubernetes? Okay, in Tokyo side, nobody using the Kubernetes service.
anyone using Kubernetes in Singapore? Kubernetes?
Moses?
Yeah. Okay. Not much also in Singapore.
Okay. So, and if you're really interested in the Kubernetes service, you can go for the YouTube to try to find a bunch of the video. So today, what I want to do is I actually doing more like the demo heavy and try to give you some feeling how you can utilize the Kubernetes service by using the Azure. And let me start with the AKS overview. So background of the history, and as you see on the left-hand side, we had a traditional deployment, meaning we buy the hardware, installing Windows Server, and installing the IIS services, and installing the ASP.NET or even ASP application on top of it. This is kind of 2 decades ago. Is that 2 decades ago? Yeah, right. It's 2019 already. And then after that, VM will be emerged, so virtual deployment. So we still have the hardware. Then we have the operating system like the Windows hypervisor. Then we are creating the virtual machines on top of it. So let's say I had a 64 gigabyte RAM server, right? Not 10 years. It's kind of 7 years ago. And I could running 4 or 5 VMs on top of my Windows server, which is good, but it has too much overhead because let's imagine when you have the virtual machine on top of the actual Windows server, but this virtual machine is another Windows server, meaning this guy have the mouse driver, this guy may have the floppy driver, this guy maybe have the CD-ROM driver, which I don't use it because I just want to run in the application inside the VM, right? I don't need any actual physical kind of stuff, but because this is virtualizing everything, we cannot simply say we don't need this mouse, right? Then the Docker is coming, so container technology. So we still have hardware, of course, yeah. Then we have the operating system. Then on top of it, we have the container runtime. And inside the container runtime, we have the bunch of the container instances. And it's a more like the optimized version of the purely running the application. And now let's imagine I have 3 pod or 3 container running in my environment. The first one could be ASP.NET Core, and the second one could be ASP.NET Core API, and third one could be SQL Server, right? So this is my very small deployment of my web application. Then, because my web application getting more popular, more people comes in, so I need to scale, right? And this is good because I can make some money. But at some point, by some reason, some of the pod may be failing. Is that because of what? Because of something, right? Something went wrong all the time. And another pod may be down, right? And in case I don't need that amount of the pod anymore, I also want to reduce the amount of the pod because if I running too much pod without doing nothing, I need to keep paying the money, right? I want to save it or I want to optimize the workload, right? And reduce. And sometimes I want to do the auto heal of the pod. But imagine when you have the Docker, for example, and if you're running everything manually or everything by one, this is too hard. That's where we need the orchestration of the pod. So it doesn't matter how many pods you're running, but we still need orchestrator. And there are many orchestrator applications like Docker Swarm, and one of the industry standard at this moment, as you can see in the logo, is the Kubernetes. So if you never heard of the Kubernetes, don't be afraid. It's just a container orchestration. So what container orchestration does is a service discovery and load balancing. So let's say I have 10 web pod, meaning 10 web servers. When somebody hitting the application by using load balancer, I want to distribute the workload to 10 pod because I have 10, right? Then we need load balancer. Is that the hardware load balancer like F5? It could be good to have, but then everything should be in the software world. So Kubernetes gives the load balancing capability and the service discovery capability. And the storage has to be orchestrated as well, because I may have 3 pods talking to the same storage, right? And whenever I create another pod, the another pod may also have to mount a new storage, right? The storage orchestration is another thing I need to think about. Then automated rollout and rollbacks, because whenever I have the new version, awesome new version, checked in, do the building, the test coverage is 100%, and everything looks so cool, so I roll out. Then all of a sudden I found a bug. So I need to roll back everything, right? And if you have 1,000 pods, for example, what happens? Do you want to do one by one? No, right? And automatic beam packing and the self-healing. So there are so many things you need to do with these bunch of the containers, right? Because containers are supposed to be very small package, and it should be distributed system. So it's very easily going like 10 to 100 to 1,000 to I don't say million, but 10,000. So we need some application to manage everything. That is where the Kubernetes comes in. And Kubernetes is just another service, like the Windows Server or the IIS service or any other like DevOps service. So they have master, and master have these services. You don't have to know about the detail, just ignore. And it also has a node, and it has the others component as well. Oops, please wait, my PowerPoint froze. I cannot proceed any further. Come on, PowerPoint, do your job. And by some reason, my PC is very slow today. Yeah, there you go. And we also need to do the web UI. I want to do the monitoring. I want to do the logging, security, blah, 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 right? And when we think about the Kubernetes, it's still another system, meaning we need to installing the software, Kubernetes software into my hardware or into my VM. Meaning we have to do the operating system management. If I installing Linux, if I install the Kubernetes on top of it, I have to do the patching of the Linux, right? Or I need to do the backup restore, because whenever I configure something, I want to keep the state, right? And if something going bad, I want to restore or recover, right? So even though Kubernetes is great to manage all the pod, it's human being responsibility or my responsibility to manage Kubernetes itself, right? I still need to manage Kubernetes. Then Kubernetes itself have to install, you need to configuration, and Kubernetes has the versions, and it's also have the security, right? Because I need to think about how to secure my environment. So there are so many things I need to do because this is just another software, right? So what's the solution? So that's AKS, Azure Kubernetes Service comes in. So let me just read the definition of what is Kubernetes or AKS. The fully managed Azure Kubernetes service makes deploying and managing containerized application easy. It offers serverless Kubernetes and integrated continuous integration and continuous delivery experience, and enterprise-grade security and governance. How do you feel? All right, so I just try to rephrasing what I just said. I just took it from the documentation. All right, so the master node. So master node, we are just Microsoft is just the what question? No.
Oh, I finally got Whereby to work.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the master node is the place Kubernetes try to manage everything for their node. But master node, AKS, Microsoft manage master node. So you don't have to think about master node. You just ask Microsoft, hey, give me the Kubernetes. Then Microsoft give you the Kubernetes, and you don't have to touch anything about master. We take care of the master. Then you need your node, because master do the orchestration of what? Of your application, meaning your pod, right? And you need to have somewhere to make your pod running. That's the node. So you have to have your node, right? Then you need to create VM to support the Kubernetes node, and you need to install it. But do you know how to install in VM and join to the Kubernetes master? And do you know which component you need to install to the VM to make it Kubernetes node? At least I don't. I have no idea what to do. So what Kubernetes service doing, or AKS doing, is whenever you need a node, you just say, I need one node. I need two nodes. Then we prepare or provision a node, which is Kubernetes component installed, and already hook up to your master, so that you can just start using. Don't worry about which component you need to install. It's just everything installed for you. And others, it's Azure. So it's so secure. Why you get laughing? So Azure have the security feature, monitoring feature, logging feature, dev tool integration, etc., etc. So you don't have to think about adding new services, because Azure existing service can take care of the environment. And how to start? It's very easy, just 3 commands. So first of all, I want to create in the AKS environment. So I just do the AZ AKS create. And I specify which resource group I'm creating the AKS. And I just do the name. Then I just say generate SSH key. By doing this command, and I think it takes like 5 to 10 minutes up to how many cluster you want to specify by the default. By default, it's creating the 3 node. Could be 2, no, could be 3, yeah, by default. And then once this is created, you just do the AZ AKS install CLI. The reason why you want to run this is AZ is a command line tool for Azure, right? When AKS is creating the cluster for you, it's the Kubernetes cluster. Meaning, whenever you log into the AKS, the command line you want to use is the Kubernetes command line, which is called the kube control or kube control or the kube control. I don't know how to pronounce that. There is some CLI tool of the Kubernetes. And do you know how to install? Do you know where to go? Maybe GitHub. But this command actually installing the Kubernetes command and do all the configuration for you, right? Now you have a cluster, you have CLI installed. Now you just need to log into your service so that you can run your Kubernetes command, right? To do so, you just need to run this command, AZ-AKS, get credentials, and specify which resource group you provision your Kubernetes cluster, then name of the cluster. So basically, if you run these 3 commands, you already have Kubernetes. And it takes from 5 minutes to 10 minutes. But I don't know if it's really working that fast. So I pre-provision everything before doing the session so that I don't want to waste your time. So let me just go into my, where's my Azure? My Azure. There you go. All right, so this is my Azure environment. And if I come in down to see, there you go. So this is AKS for .NET. And I will show all the command I was using to set up this environment. All right. So if I see, too big. Sorry. All right. So this is an AKS cluster I provisioned. And in addition to that, because this is container runtime, right? We are running the container in the Azure Kubernetes service. Then, of course, obviously, we need container registry, right? Otherwise, where you download your container from, maybe Docker Hub, yes. But in my case, I'm using Azure Container Registry so that I can putting all the container into my Azure Container Registry and asking the Kubernetes to get the container from my container registry, right? So I created Azure Container Registry and Kubernetes service, right? And this is a command I was using. So obviously this is more than 3 commands because I was creating a bit more. Because I mean, in the marketing slide, we say just 3 commands. Yes, that's cool. But in reality, as a developer, I need to know all the detail, right? All the detail steps. So the first line, AZ group create. This is I creating the resource group, right? So I said just specify the resource group name, but you need to have the resource group in the first place. So I'm just creating the resource group by running the command. Then after that, I creating the Azure Container Registry. For my understanding, whenever I talk to the customer, you need container registry to using the Kubernetes, right? Because you are not directly deploying the application to the Kubernetes, so you are deploying the container to the Kubernetes, meaning you have to have the registry somewhere. So this is a command to creating the Azure Container Registry, right? Then I make the admin enabled, meaning we can log into the ACR by using username and password. Then after that, I was creating the one role-based access enable the service account or service principal. Why? Because this is all about security. So Kubernetes is running under which account, right? I want to assign one service principal for Kubernetes to run. Then I need to assign all the privilege that service have to use, right? So after that, what I did is I'm showing the resource group and the ACR. So the one obvious thing I want to do is let the Kubernetes to connecting to my container registry to downloading the image. Otherwise, you cannot start running the container, right? Meaning I need to assign the role to the service principal, which can talk into my Azure Container Registry to getting the image out, right? So what I did is I need to understand the Azure Container Registry resource information by running this command. Let me just run this command so that you can see its output. So if I run this one, it's try to query the information in Azure. Yeah, I think I'm connecting to my mobile router by mistake. All right, so this is a resource ID of my Azure Container Registry. So this is a unique ID of my ACR. Then after I get in this information, I do AZ role assignment create, meaning I am creating the role assignment to what? To the service principal I just created. To what? To ACR of what? Of ACR privilege. So I create service principal. I check the resource name of my ACR, Azure Container Registry, and I'm giving the ACR privilege to that service principal, so that by using that service principal, Azure Kubernetes service can download the image from my ACR. Make sense? All right, so I'm pretty ready now to installing the Azure Kubernetes. So I do AZ AKS create. That's stands for the resource group. So specify the resource group I just created on the line 1. And I give the name AKS4.net. Then I specify I just need 2 nodes. I want to do 1 node, but to make it better, 2 node. And then I specify the service principal I created and asking the Kubernetes to using this service principal to run, right? So this is how I can lock down all the privilege to the Kubernetes service, right? Then I give the current secret, blah, 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 and just waiting 5 minutes. My Kubernetes is up and running, yeah. Then I just do the AKS install CLI and the AKS get credential. Now my cluster is ready. So even though I said 3 lines of the command, which is true, by the way, but I just go in a bit further to make more like production-ready environment with 10 lines of code. which is not bad, right? Then I already connected to my Kubernetes environment. So what I can do is kube control or kubectl or the kube. Let me just call this kube control today, okay? Kube control, and I want to get rows. And by doing that, this guy gives me all the node information of this Kubernetes. So I have 2 nodes, right? And if I look into one node, very detailed, kube control and describe. Describe is a good command to describe all the detail of the element. So describe node. Boom. So this is a detailed information of that particular node. So if I just scroll up. All right, so this is a command I just issued. So this is the name of the node. And this is an agent, meaning this is a node of the Kubernetes. Then it has the labels. So each node or each component of the Kubernetes can have a label. So it said agent pool equal to node pool 1. And the beta Kubernetes IO/arc is AMD64. This is the architecture of the operating system. And I'm using Linux. By the way, if you are really big fan of the Windows like me, and if you want to use the Windows VM as a node, yes, we are supporting that as a preview. So if you want to run in the Windows container, you need to have the Windows VM as a node, right? That's the only way to run in the Windows container at this moment. And the Kubernetes supporting that with no, I don't say Kubernetes. I say AKS supporting the Windows node as a preview feature, okay? All right, so if I come in back to the Azure portal, and let's see. So interesting enough, by some reason, I don't know the reason why, but we are creating the separate resource group for all the node to hide all the detailed information. If I go into AKS, and if I come into my, come on, node pools, and inside here, I see my node pool 1, and the node count is 2, right? And this is the VM, as I said, meaning somewhere in the Azure portal, you should be able to see the VM, right? So if I go back into the resource group and you find one interesting name said MC_AX4.net, AX4.net East US. So this is my node, right? So if I open this resource group, then let me just zoom out a bit so that we can see everything at once. So I have the load balancer, and I have the virtual network, and I have the virtual machine scale set, and the network security group, and the routine table, blah, 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 right? And if I go into the virtual machine scale set, I have instances, and you already know how many instances I have, right? 2. I have 2 instances here, right? 1 each. So this is a very beauty side of the AKS. So you don't have to know all the detail about the Azure VM. And you don't have to know all the detail about the Kubernetes. You're just asking the AKS to create 2 nodes. All of a sudden, underlying technology, you don't have to care. Everything will be set up for you, right? Now I have node. Yes, once I have node, what I can do, I can create in the container. My bad. All right, so what I can do now is if I come in back, and let's see what I have at this moment. So I do kube control, get all, meaning I get everything. And when I say everything, because I just set up this environment, I have nothing. This service is the endpoint of the cluster so that the internal component can talk into the cluster. And as you can see, it's kind of private IP, 10.0.0.1, right? So I want to create something fast. What fast? Of course, SQL Server fast, because I need a SQL Server to run. Otherwise, I cannot adding the SP.NET Core, right? So to do that, somebody say, why is that?
Should be using Couchbase.
Yeah, right. Does the Couchbase have the container?
We have a Kubernetes operator.
Okay. Why not? All right. So to do so, actually, we can create in the entire component one by one manually, but I don't want to do that because Kubernetes is more like the state, desired configuration state. I don't know how to describe. What I want to say is you can describe the desired state of the service and ask the Kubernetes to make it happen. All right. So this is a YAML file. And as you may know, SQL Server using storage, right? Otherwise, we cannot store the data. So we say, hey, I need the storage, and I want to use it as an Azure disk, right? Then what kind of the Azure disk I want to use? Premium, because I need a very fast SSD for my storage, right? Then this is just storage standalone, nobody talking to this guy. So I need to have the persistent volume claim, meaning I have a storage and I have a pod, and from pod point of view, I want to claim to using the disk. So I need to get this persistent claim definition. So I create persistence volume claim, and I say the metadata is MS SQL data. This is just the name of this claim, right? And I'm saying I want to use Azure disk, right? And I want to use just one pod should be accessed into disk, right? As I said, we can have multiple pod access into the same disk so that we can share the data, but this is SQL Server. You don't want other process touching your data, right? Only SQL Server should be able to touch the SQL Server data. That's why I said read write once, meaning only one pod can talk into the disk, nobody else. And I want to have the 8 GB storage because my database is huge. You can create a terabyte or petabyte. Then I will create the secret. Why? Because I want to create in the MS SQL SA password, right? And this is my password. Can you read that? It can, but the thing is I'm doing the basics for encoding of my password. So I don't say it's too secure, but this is a way to, yeah. And now the only thing I do the deployment, right? So I call this MS SQL deployment, and I want to have one replica because SQL Server 20. So by the way, this is SQL Server 2017 Linux container version. Did you know that you can install the Linux on SQL Server on Linux, and we can just using the container, right? So this is a one replica, and I want to say this is my MS SQL, not my SQL, MS SQL, all right? And this is where you can get the image from. So mcr.microsoft.com is the official Docker Hub registry name. So you can download the SQL Server 2017 latest from there, right? Then I say on the port, I want to enable port 1433. Then I want to use the developer edition because it's for free. And I want to accept the URL. Then I specify the password. Name, MySQL, keyword, SA password. This is where I created my password above here. This is the one, right? Then I want to mount my SQL DB to this path. And I want to use the volume from MS SQL data volume by using this persistent volume claim. So everything connecting back to the pod. I create storage, I created the storage claim, I created the secret. Now I can create in the SQL Server by specifying the disk, the claim, and secret, right? Then lastly, I want to create service because if I run the SQL Server, if nobody talking to that, it's a waste. We have to open up the port to internal and external, right? It depends. But this time I want to try to connect it from my end, from my PC, from my Windows 10 PC. So I just using the load balancer to open up the public IP, which I don't recommend you guys to do that anyway. But today for the demo purpose, I do that. All right, so now I have this definition. coming back to my script, and what I can do is kube control dash apply dash F. By the way, this F stands for file, not force. Okay, file, and I just want to deploy SQL 2070.yaml. All right, so if I'm doing that, Kubernetes is clever enough to understand my configuration if I'm writing it right, and it keeps creating a bunch of the object. It creates page, it creates the persistent volume claim, it creates the secret, and it of course creates the pod, and it creates the service, right? By doing that, I can install the SQL Server. And just imagine how many minutes or how many hours you have to use to install SQL Server, 20, maybe 15, or 16, or even 2000 into Windows Server, right? Maybe 3 hours. Yeah, you need to use 1 hour to try to find the reference key, right? Now, this is that easy. So let's see the status of my pod first then. Get pods. And the first time it takes a bit of time. So container is creating it because Kubernetes see that definition of the YAML, knowing where the image should be downloaded from, connecting to the Docker Hub. Now it's downloading the image. It may take time if the image is big, right? Then after that, it hook up all the disk and the services and running. So let's see that again by doing the watch. Oh, it's already running. Okay, I don't need to watch. Then what I can do is kube control, get service. All right, so I have the internal cluster, the IP. This was existing there before, right? So this is a new service I was creating, load balancer. And the internal IP has been created already. External not yet, right? So let me just run it again. If that's still pending, no. So this is the external IP address, which I can connect into from my local. And let's try. And because I don't say encrypt, but I encode my password by using the base 64. Nobody knowing my super password. So if you can write in a very quick program to decode the base 64 string, maybe.
In the program.
Yeah, right. There is a website, so to just copy and paste the base 64 string, right, to decode. Yeah, that's so true. Now, this is an Azure Data the Studio, so that I can connect into any SQL Server or even Postgres server. And let's start launching up right now. Come on. Yeah, everything taking too much time today. I think we should be using a different computer for the YouTube broadcast. By Jim to buy a new computer. Thank you, Jim. Let me just delete this one. So connecting to my Microsoft SQL Server, and this is the IP address there, and SQL login, and SA, and I need to remember my password. My password is really complex. So
It's password.
no, it is not. It is not password. No, it's kind of similar, but no.
ABC 1 2 3.
No, it's not 1 2 3. All right. So my password is this, which you don't see.
Password.
No. If you read my blog, actually I'm writing down the password.
That's so fun.
Yeah, because I need to let the people know how to create in the basics for encoded version, which is this one. So I'm doing the echo to pipe to the basics for.
Wow, you're so lead.
I don't know how many people in Singapore can read Japanese, but if you're interested in or using the Bean translator, just subscribe my blog. And it's taking a bit of time. Come on.
Take be good in time. You're gonna not have time for the Singapore one.
Yeah. No. I will finish by the time. No worries.
By what?
By some time. Yeah. All right. So now I'm connecting to my SQL server. Don't save. And I just want to run one query to prove this is actually SQL Server 20. So select start from what we want to do is say system. No, I don't want to delete my instance or sys databases. And if I run that, executing, and there you go. So this is just another SQL Server running in the Kubernetes cluster, right?
Wow, it's been there for 16 years.
Yeah, that's so true, right? Created on 2003. Yeah. All right, so that's the SQL part. Then what I want to show you is how you are creating the .NET application, which can talk into the SQL Server, because this talk is for the .NET developer, right? So I opened my Visual Studio 2019. How many people using the Visual Studio 2019? I hope everybody.
Only for this meetup.
Started, but it crashes.
What? Really? Okay. You need to tell me a bit more detail. All right, so I go for the new project, and I want to create the ASP.NET Core web application. So go to next. And what's the name? So maybe Core 3 web app application. Come on, application. Yeah, I don't care if I do the mistype. Just create. Then whenever you create the ASP.NET Core or ASP.NET, you have the option to make it as a Docker, right? So you want to do the .NET Core 3, right? Of course. And I want to do the MVC, and I enable Docker support for Linux, right? And I want to also doing the authentication by changing this one to the SQL Server. So I just want to do the individual user account. And OK, and create.
Why do they call it MVC for ASP.NET, but MVVM for everything else?
Yeah. I think they will be changing everything later, right?
Good.
I don't know. I have no idea. So whenever you are creating the application by using the Docker enabled, meaning your application should be run inside the Docker container. All right. So now my Visual Studio 2019 is rerun after the project created. So this part is the MVC application, and sooner or later, you should be able to see the Docker part comes in. Come on, issue comes in. No, yeah. Everything runs so slow today. Come on. Yeah, sorry for the delay.
I'm getting angry over there. Can you could have throw something over there?
And there you go. So I have the Docker file.
It's been there for 2 whole minutes.
Yeah. All right. So whenever you're creating the project by you making the Docker enable, meaning the Visual Studio provisions the Docker file with your project, your solution. And I am not quite sure how many people are familiar with reading the Docker file, but it's quite easy to read if you know the .NET command. So if I open that, so it said it starts from the ASP.NET 3, the buffer stream, meaning this is a runtime only image, which I want to put everything into the image. So I call this as a base. And working directory is the /up, and the export port is 80 and 443, because this is web application, right? And I'm using the separate container image, calling the SDK colon 3.0 buster. So this is just a runtime. this one including the SDK. And the reason why I want to use this SDK one is because I want to use in this Docker instance to build my application. So I changed my work directory to the /source, and I just copy C# project file first, because I just need one file to the .NET Restore. So inside the Docker instance, I run the .NET Restore by specifying this C# project file. And once all the dependency is restored, then I just copy everything, right? And after that, I do the .NET build with a release build. Now, this container instance have the build image, which I want to copy to my runtime image, because this guy is great to have a SDK, but the size is way huge, way bigger than the stripped down version. And as I said, the AKS have to download the image from the any container registry. So we want to minimize the size of the image. All right. Then I am using this build image, and now I'm calling that publish. It's just naming. And I just do the .NET publish to creating nice application under the publish folder. And lastly, I'm just using the base, and I just call it final now. And I'm making the app working directory to the /app, and copy from publish, meaning from this image, and from this path to current path. So all the compiled assemblies will be copying over to my /app directory, right? Then I specify the entry point of the container. So I want to run .NET, and this is my application DLL. So this is how I'm creating the Docker image. And once I create Docker image, what I want to do is I want to put in that Docker image to the Docker container. But before doing that, I want to do the local debug, right? So if I come into my app settings, by default, this guy is connecting to the local, the SQL Server Express to do the work. But now, because I'm provision my server in AKS, let me just try to connect in here directly. So this is my server, right? And I just need to say, because this is not like the trusted connection anymore, because I'm using the SA and username password. So I say SA, user ID equal SA, comma, password is my super duper secret password, which is no. Where am I? There you go. So this is my password. So by simply changing the connection string, you basically connecting to the SQL Server online, because I already proved that by using the ADO, right? So when you do the debug or the build or the deployment by using the SQL Server in the AKS, you can do that. I don't recommend, because it has a security issue, right? But this is the one way you can do that. And after that, you just build to do the the Docker build and publish to the AKS, right? So let me move into my another environment, which I have everything in it. So if I move into my different environment, resource group, and this is a .NET Core sample resource group, which has another set of the AKS and the container registry, which I just created 1 week ago. So in this ACR, I can directly pushing my image to my ACR from Visual Studio. So you don't have to know how to connect into container registry, but you just right click publish to the container registry. And inside here, if I see the repositories, I have my repo. Come on. Loading. Then I have a bunch of the different version of the repository, right? Then I just need to deploy my web application by using another YAML definition, which I will show you right now. All right, so this is a Core 3 web app, the deployment. So unlike the SQL Server, because this is just another ASP.NET web application, you don't need any disk persistence. Because everything going to the database, you don't have to store anything on the local disk. That's why I don't have any local disk definition here, but I just have the deployment. And I say I want to have the 2 replica at least for the deployment. Then I say, hey, get the image from here, right? Then the question is, if the Kubernetes can connect into this container registry, yes or no? That is why I created the service principal on the first place to give the access privilege for the ACR to pull access from this repository, right? Then I can specify how many CPU or how much memory I can assign to this pod, right? So each pod could be small or could be big, depending on your definition. And you can specify the minimum resource you have to assign. And you can also specify maximum resource this pod can consume, right? Because I only have 2 nodes. If I provision like 10 pod, I want to avoid the racing condition, right? So this is how I organize my resource. Then I need to set another service for the port 80 because this is the application I need to externally open the port so that everybody can talk into my server, right? Then there's another ingress I set up. So I can open the port from pod, but it's direct connection to the pod, which is not good. Why? 1, not secure. 2, I don't have much control because the load balancer is just level 7 load balancer, right? So what I can do is I can hook up with a web application proxy or WAP because Azure providing that capability, and the WAP is integration with the AKS. So we can simply using that technology to hook up with the AKS environment, right? So this is how we are doing that. But because I don't want to separate these configuration, I have one big YAML configuration at once. So let me just open that one. All right, so this my app YAML have everything. I have SQL storage, I have persistent volume claim, and I have the secret, I have SQL server, and I also have the web application. Then, because I can define everything by using YAML file, meaning this is my source code of what? Of infrastructure. So this is another way, not purely true, but this is another way to make the infrastructure as a code, or the application definition as a code, or application desired state as a code. So I can just check in this source code to my repository and run in the Azure DevOps to ask in the Kubernetes to provision everything as I desired, right? And if I apply the same file again, for example, if I apply the SQL Server 2017 YAML, again here, does it creating another SQL Server 2017? No, it doesn't, because it's just checking the differentiation between current deployment versus new deployment. If nothing changed, it says unchanged, right? And if I change something here to, okay, no more load balancer, and I just want to keep it the private. Then it should detect, oops. All right, no worries. I just make the bad YAML file. But if I specify something different, the Kubernetes is clever enough to only see the difference and apply only the difference, right? So basically, that's it. So nothing too hard, but there is something you at least need to know what Kubernetes is all about. So Kubernetes, Azure Kubernetes service is a container orchestration, meaning you have to have your application as a container. But luckily enough, Microsoft providing a bunch of the service as a container. SQL Server, yes, 2017, 2019, everything containerized. If you want to run the cognitive service, yes, we also make the cognitive service container. Right? If you want to run the LUIS application, for example, LUIS run as a container. If you want to run the computer vision, we also provide the computer vision container service, right? So you can put any container inside your AKS and just do whatever you want. And there are so many other topics I need to talk about, right? How to auto-scale, how to auto-scale down, how to the auto-scale to the node level, how to auto-scale to the pod level, how to secure, how to have the different pool type, blah, 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 blah. There are so many things I need another 3 days to complete the entire session. But this is the very beginning of the AKS for the .NET developer, right? So one thing you need to do is whenever you create a new application, just check the Docker enable. Then your application can be container, meaning your application can running on the container runtime, which could be Docker or it could be AKS, right? So I will be showing my PowerPoint slide later, but basically these are the just 3 lines to create the AKS. And if you have enough money to play with the Kubernetes service, this is purely the VM cost. Let's go ahead to creating like 10 node cluster for Microsoft's sake, so we can make money. All right, that's it for me today. Thanks for listening. Thank you, guys.
Are we going to entertain questions or? Do we have any questions from Singapore? Oh. Okay. No questions from Singapore. Ken, shall we? Do you have anything to discuss from Japan side, or we'll just switch?
Do you have any question in this room? No, everything crystal clear.
Okay.
No questions.
We'll switch to the second speaker now. We'll welcome to share to us about the static site generator called Wyam.
All right, so from here, we have another speaker in the Singapore side, and they are sharing their screen to do the broadcast. So if you want to stay, I recommend you to stay. Otherwise, it's 9 p.m. already. You can leave anytime. But before doing that, please write down your name and the company name to my Excel sheet so that I can hand over to your special.
Did you say Excel sheet?
Excel sheet. I said Excel sheet. Database. My local awesome database.
All that fail over and
You can do that.
following me.
It's going forever. So I just do the stop sharing.
We can still see my screen. Okay. So let's present myself. I'm Novotný. I'm a software architect in Zurich. If you want to know more, I bring more control that you enjoy. Unfortunately, not in the technology network.
I think he's starting talking about live.
Yeah, so software development, most of the Microsoft technologies like .NET, Visual Basic, Azure, and so on. You can find more about me on my website. Actually, on this session, we will be about like how I make my website and also generate the site generator. And then you can also find more about the community.
Yeah, just wait.
So what we will talk about is the first, like why static site generator, then what is Wyam, then the concept, how to start, and then I will present some demo. But they will ask someone doing demos to hold the microphone. Cannot do both. We will need to use the slot handle for holding the microphone. Yeah. Okay, so let's fixate the generator. So yeah, I mean, in 2000, when the web got very popular, the common systems got also very popular. Like a lot of systems like every website in internet and some kind of content system. Then in 2010, started somehow popularity of development with applications. And nowadays, I mean, yeah, there is a lot of huge frameworks to do this applications. And I mean, as we have like really a lot of tools for these two technologies, people somehow forgot about what was actually before.
Like actually none of our people are home fields now.
HTML. And in some cases, I mean, it may be still useful at this stage. And the reason why is that it's extremely fast.
So they are bringing it to laptops.
Then there are still some cases where basically it's useful or it's satisfactory. Like for example, to have the personal websites, blogs, or even the software documentation, API documentation, and so on. People is static again. I mean, you can generate the documentation just once, and then it can be served pretty fast. Then also deployment is pretty very easy, and especially, I mean, it's supported by every web server. I mean, you can host it alone. I mean, nowadays, there are like some very cheap or almost even free hosting for websites. That's basically it does not really use any CPU. So I mean, providers can do it very cheaply. And the last thing is also it's very secure. I mean, if the content, then the devil or the hackers cannot really get into your content management system easily override it. So what is VM? VM is static content generator. It means, I mean, it's not only for, it's mostly used probably for websites, but it's not necessarily the target is the website. I mean, it can really basically manage any kind of content. It's implemented in .NET Core 2.1, and it's open source, so you can find even the source code. I think it will even, and it may be even sometimes useful, especially to use or to update the themes. And compared to some other static site generators, it's very nicely configurable and really flexible, and especially with the configuration C# code, and you can really use a lot of .NET experience. So how does it work? Again, it's quite simple. I mean, you have some input directory where you have like the input content. It can be, for example, the markdown files, images, even some other static files or whatever. Then we have the Wyam tool. It also includes the configuration for this tool. The basic configuration tells like how the content should be processed, and then basically it generates some output, usually the website in the output folder, and that's usually the static HTML files. So how it works, or in more details. So in VM there is something like document as a .NET object. And document is the content that is somehow processed. Again, it can be like markdown file, HTML file, image, or whatever. And each document includes two two parts of data. One is the content itself, is some kind of string, and then some metadata. There is actually dictionary, the dictionary, and metadata can contain the title, publish date, author, and so on. And the values of the metadata can be again like any data type. Then the next part is or next component is module. Module is some component that actually takes the document or several documents, then process it somehow and generate something to the output. Like, just for example, there are read files component that actually read all the HTML markdown files. Depends like what extension you select. And creates a document in memory. Then the markdown document will basically find takes all the documents in memory and converts the markdown to HTML. It creates new HTML documents. And then, for example, minify HTML, again, it takes all HTML documents, minifies the HTML, and then creates new document. Then, for example, write files takes all the documents that you specify and runs it into the output folder. And then the pipeline. Pipeline is basically just a sequence of modules that you would like to process. So, like we have this example, like the pipeline is sequence, like it first read the files, then convert markdown to HTML, then minify the HTML, and then writes files. And then, so this is, for example, how it works. So I mean, we have some, for example, document A, document B in the input folder. Then the module file basically takes those documents. On document A, I mean, it converts it to document C. With document B, I mean, it does not touch, just take it as it is. Then second module actually takes these two documents, combines it even together in a single document, B, and this may be, let's say, output of our site or of the generator. So this way, I mean, yeah, it's that's basically how the Wyam is flexible. Basically, you can create your own pipeline and put there almost anything. But I mean, for easier use, Wyam contains two presets. One is blog and one is docs for API documentation. And preset is actually something like the template or the predefined pipeline. I mean, it basically contains the predefined pipeline. And yeah, both of them, I mean, the pipeline may be quite big. I mean, for example, for a blog, it again, as I said, I mean, it reads all the markdown files, even process the razor pages, we will show later on. Generates the index page with all the blog, I mean, with the list of blog posts, generates the text, and so on. And the last concept is theme, and theme is, again, very simple concept, is actually the default content, default input, default content that should be processed. So I mean, usually it is like, for example, the layout page, some images that should be in the output, the JavaScript files, I mean CSS example. And again, it works very simple. I mean, this is basically like the default content, and you can overwrite each file, I mean, basically including your input, and then, I mean, it's not just this file is taken from your input and not from the theme. So, I mean, again, you can use the default theme, but if you don't like this part, for example, there is a page header, I mean, you don't like the page header, you can just take this file, overwrite it in your input, and so you can have custom header. I believe that's basically all. So how to start? Yeah, the easiest installation is using .NET tool as a .NET global tool. I already have it installed. I think now it's basically time for demo. Okay, hold the mic.
Able to increase the font a bit.
Yeah.
He's using PowerShell core.
Hopefully better. Oh, even more. So if we like this. So as you can see, I already installed that. But this is basically the easiest way how to install the Wyam tool. There are some other options, but I mean, I found it is really very simple. So, yeah. And so, how to start with Wyam is maybe I just create a new directory on my blog. So these are basically Wyam tool has 4 commands. One is to build, that is actually the default command. So if I just type Wyam, then it automatically builds the website. Then new, actually it creates the new, like the new project in the current directory. And preview actually starts the preview server and basically compiles and starts the preview server so you can really see the website. So, and the help is actually to see what commands are available. So I will just start the new. Let's try this. Oops. Going too fast. Yeah.
I wish you would get rid of that.
Blog, create new blog project.
Ne, sono schiato.
If you open this, so as I mentioned, what is actually the input? I mean, the input is the configuration. This is the configuration. I will get back to it, and the input content. And what I can actually define in the configuration, usually 2 things. I mean, at first, like the global settings. Global setting, like each recipe defines its own settings. So maybe open it. Oops. If I open blog recipe, here are the settings. So this is basically, here are all the settings that I can configure in blog recipe. That's one thing, and then another thing I can show later. I can actually even customize the pipeline. And then the content actually here are just two markdown files. One is the about page and one is the blog post. Now let's build it. Yeah. So this is how we build it. Yeah, unfortunately, I don't know, like building takes some time even when the project is quite small. And now if you look, basically here is the output folder. So again, I mean, as I presented, that basically it takes the input folder, generates the output folder. Relatively simple. And then we can preview it. I mean, dash P is starts the preview server, and dash W is watch. Basically, it watches for all the changes, and automatically actually reloads the new page when we change something. This is the our website. Yeah, so this is basically the website generated by blog post. So this is my first post, and this is the about me page. That was basically another markdown. And for example, if I change here, me, community, I save it. Right there it is, hello.net community. And next thing is that, as I talk, I mean, each document has content and metadata. So we usually, Wyam uses this triple dash to actually split two parts in document. So this first part is actually contains the metadata. And yeah, again, this is actually YAML format. Maybe more visible here. Right, I mean, again, this is YAML like key value pair. But I mean, for example, we can have tags. I'm not sure if it works this way, but I think it may be even. I don't think this really works, but it's somehow possible even to, let's say, have like really the list and so on. And the second part is actually the markdown. Even with formatting. Okay, so let's check what are the demos I would like to show. Yeah, so this was the simple blog post. What we can add are razor pages. Maybe I will go a bit faster through it. I will show. Source code of my page, that is basically this page. Oh, here I want to show several things. So one is the Razor pages. These are the projects. Yeah, projects. So one very nice thing about Wyam is that in addition to Markdown, we can actually use also the Razor pages. Actually, this way we have really they could generate the dynamic content. The dynamic in a way that it can be composed of different things. And what is actually quite nice is from the Razor page, we can even use the pipelines or the documents which were generated in different pipelines. I will show it on this page. So I have this project page here. It basically is relatively simple page, like it's the list of projects, like each project has some description, some image, title, and so on. So I mean, I'm not sure if I would be able to format this in Markdown directly, probably not. But I mean, I decided to have like each project in separate pipeline, in separate document. So here I basically create, for example, for the first project was globe time. For this globe time project, I created separate Markdown document where the description is really the Markdown, and then other things, other metadata like the title, then image is the path to the image. It is actually this one. And order number is basically somehow the number, so I can specify the order, how it should be ordered on the page. And then if I go to configuration, and here I said, I mean, I can specify the settings, and I can actually modify the pipeline. So here in the pipeline, or I inserted the new pipeline that should run as the first one. It's inserted really at the beginning, where I want to generate the projects. And this pipeline is very simple. I mean, at first, I mean, it contains three modules. The first one is read files from folder, all Markdown files from projects folder. Then basically from these documents, it extracts the metadata in YAML format. And then the content is, the Markdown content is then converted to HTML. So basically it generates the HTML documents of the project, or the documents, and these documents then can be used in other pipelines. But how I use those is that I have this project Razor page where basically I read all the documents from project pipeline. Here is, for example, for each document, I can get the metadata. So I can order it by order number. And then again, I can generate the dynamically HTML. So for each document, again, it is not the first one. I generate the horizontal line. Then I get the title and image from the document metadata. And then basically I just really generate the HTML, including the header, the image, and basically insert the description as HTML. So again, I mean, these are kind of really quite useful or very flexible that we can use the Razor pages. I mean, that we can include all the C#, I mean, the combination of HTML and C#. So that was about the Razor pages. Next demo is, yeah, override theme. And override theme, again, is, we can even show it on the other blog post. So as I mentioned, the Wyam project is open source, and good thing is that in the GitHub actually it includes all the themes. So maybe let's use some kind of different theme, for example, Stellar, just an example. So how to specify theme is, I think it's theme Stellar. Funny thing actually about this Wyam configuration project, I mean, actually this is also C# code. You can see it even here, it's even better. This is really the C# code. Here are the comments. I mean, this is really the dictionary that I can modify the dictionary. And also, I mean, these are the .NET objects, and basically I will use the C# code to modify the pipelines. And basically the recipe and theme are specific compiler directives. I mean, yeah, these are recognized only by Wyam. So I specify theme Stellar. Now let's check if it. So it changed the theme, as you can see. And yeah, for example, I want to change the footer. So from the Stellar, for example, here is the footer. I mean, so this is basically the default content of the that is used by the generator. So if I want to change the footer, so I just take this file and copy it in my blog input here. And then, I mean, this footer file is not taken from the theme, but from this folder. I want to change it, for example, here I will design HTML generated by Wyam, just an example at Meetup, just an example. And as you can see, it's visible, even it's pink in background. So this way we can actually customize the theme. So again, relatively simple. And so next demo is API documentation. As I said, so one of the recipes is the blog. Another recipe is docs that actually can generate API documentation for your library. Can I open the project? Playing poker, that is like my pet project, playground project. For example, this library that has several classes, and like playing poker. In each class has XML documentation. I mean, like all the members and so on. Then if I want to generate the like nice page with the documentation, with API documentation, I just basically need to enable generate document file. One thing, we have one trick is that I just learned is if I open properties, can actually set that thing even here. Just, yeah, I mean, if you check this in UI, then in CS Pro, it actually writes the full path to the file, and that's actually not what we want because, for example, on the build server, it probably won't work. I mean, it would be not the correct path, but I mean, you need to directly in CS profile, I mean, add this element, generate the documentation file, and basically then it does what you want. It actually generates the XML file. Actually, it's already built. I can show it in the screen. Basically, it generates DLL and also XML file with the documentation that is also used by IntelliSense and so on. And if I want to generate the oops, it already somewhere. Yeah. So I need Poker Docs. I just delete it, show it from scratch. So I create new docs. While it's composing, I will just check settings if I remember it correctly. It's this one. And here I will just put input part to my DLL. Again, I mean, probably should not be the absolute part, but I mean, for this demo, it's fine. And so let's again build it.
The DLL is only used during the generation.
Yes. Oops. because I'm running already the other. I will stop this side. Again, I could specify different port for the web server. And so this is this is the default website for the documentation, and I mean again next to the let's start with the API documentation. Basically, it generates like for all the namespaces. These are the classes. I, for example, open here are the interfaces. I open this interface, and here is basically the documentation of all the properties, methods, and so on. And it's really the combination of the metadata from DLL, where it takes basically what kind of types and so on, and from XML, I mean, it takes all the summary and documentation and so on. If I want open specific method here, I can see like what is the return type, what are the parameters and so on. That's one thing, and then also I can have also like additional static sites where I can have, for example, some like generic documentation, how to use the library, what are the principles, and so on. One, for example, usage. To use this library takes these steps, and create theme. Theme. It's an example, and if you open usage, did I break anything? So I mean, the next to the API documentation here are the static content. So as I said, I mean, these can be really used for like some architectural documentation or so on. Decision. And then the next demo is the continuous delivery. Basically, I think that why nowadays the static site generators are much more useful than before is basically thanks to two things. I mean, we have Git and we have a lot of tools for continuous delivery. So I mean, therefore, the Git can be used really for the collaboration on the content, even the version control and so on, and the continuous delivery can be used to automatically generate the content, publish it, and so on. And I will just go through how I set it up for my website in Azure DevOps. Basically, this is the deployment pipeline for using Azure DevOps, where there are basically three steps. The first step is actually to install Wyam tool. So basically, I just run the .NET Core custom command, and custom command is tool, and the arguments for is actually to install global tool Wyam tool. Then next is actually to run Wyam in the current directory that basically builds the website. And then last, I mean, this may be optional. Basically, I zip the output file, output directory into WebZip. Then I can publish it. And then the last step is actually the output directory is then uploaded via FTP to a web server. So again, I mean, they're like very simple but very effective. I mean, whenever I commit something to a repository, I mean, in less than a minute, the page is, the website is updated. And the last thing might be the dynamic content. Oh, just going again. Well, maybe we'll go through it very quickly. Then I mean, again, from time to time it may happen that I mean, yeah, most of the website is static, but there might be some kind of dynamic content. Like in my case, or in this case, I have contact form. Basically, the user can enter the data like the name, email address, and so on. Then he press send, and then in the end, I should receive the email with all this data, and I can respond to that. So how it is done? Basically, the sending of email is provided. I mean, is provided by SendGrid. That's the service to send emails. Then, but it actually includes some. I need to log into this service. So therefore, I create the Azure function. That again, I mean, it's very simple. It basically just accepts the HTTP request. Okay, I can even open it. I have it here. I think it's this one. Just quickly opening the code. Yeah, this is the simple function. I mean, it's basically just is triggered on the Azure function. It's triggered on HTTP request with post command. Basically, it takes the input. From the input, it remains email data. Basically, email data is again very simple. It just contains the properties like sender email, sender name, and so on. And then basically uses SendGrid to actually send the mail. And then on this one, on the client side, I mean, yeah, so this is the HTML for contact form, as this theme already includes Bootstrap, so I mean, I use Bootstrap for formatting. And then in the end, I mean, I just load some JavaScript, and the JavaScript is again quite simple. Basically, it just takes or reads again the jQuery. It uses jQuery to read the data from the form, validates the data, and forms the JSON request, REST request to Azure function. And again, I mean, it is very simple. So I mean, jQuery is quite sufficient to use it, even though it's like quite old library. Then also on the client side, they have also another thing even easier. Even below 3 sites. They have a trick basically like how if you want to include comment in your blog post, where it is. They have a trick like how to use the discuss service. There is a discuss service that can include commenting in your static blog post. So I think that's all related to demos. And what is actually the future of VM? Basically now the author of VM is creating like the new version. It's named Static. So it's still in preview version. What I noticed was quite a big change that maybe there will not be like easy to install tool. But you may also basically create like the new within the framework, so you can actually create a C# project that actually generates your website. I mean, the big advantage may be that you really need to create a C# project. It might be a bit more complicated, but on the other side, I mean, the main disadvantage of this config VM file is that it's C# file or C# language, but I mean, this file doesn't support that license. So I mean, if we use the C# project for configuration, then I mean, we can use all the license and all the things. So that's all from my side.
Maybe the Japan.
Hopefully they still can hear us. Are there any questions from Japan? Just I need to speakers here.
You're online.
This is Ken. Japan is still there. Hello. Hello. Is Japan still there?
Yeah, we're here.
Oh, there. Any questions from Japan?
Yeah, just one question, because this is a content management system, right? So in Japan, there is a one content management system called Movable Type, which is quite popular in Japan. Do you guys also using the Movable Type in Singapore?
Can you repeat one more time? We just increased the volume.
Yeah, sure. So in Japan, this is a content management system, right?
Yes, it's correct. It's yeah, some kind of content management system. Again, I mean, like if you take like really broad definition of content management system, then yes, this is.
Yeah, and in Japan, there is a one content management system called Movable Type. Have you ever had that?
Sorry, which one?
Movable Type?
No, I haven't heard
Okay.
about.
Then no worries. I just want to know what's the recognition level of the Movable Type in Singapore.